Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI Saturday tier. We're today for the summer season, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Qualifying for sprint qualifying has just finished, although we got an interesting loading situation on your screen right now. Then we will go and see how the sprint race goes in a few moments time. Apologies for being late on the qualifying session right there. Hopefully we can get through quite swiftly, but it looks like we're not going to get the results. We do eventually quickly get the results, and Nifo's on pole. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are away, and the Racing Bulls line up. The front row of the grid just about got it out. There you go. That is Frantic, is it? Or Pursuit is Frantic, trying to have a look around the outside of one of them, but they're side by side, slowing each other down very momentarily. But instead, Nifo gets ahead, and they will single file themselves just about right now. That's JJ in the Sauber right there, making his way ahead of Heischler and Pursuit as they try to hold on. It's Pursuit and Heischler side by side for a moment themselves. Zingy goes for the move before turn 4, and now everybody is truly in a single file situation right now. Zingy leads the way from Nifo, Frantic in P2. Then we got Igor in the Ferrari. Is an interesting one to see. Of course, usually you'd expect JJ to be in a Ferrari, but no, they're not. They're in a Ferrari engine car, though. They'll be used to the engine sounds. Our pole sitter from yesterday is currently at the back of the pack. Of course, we've got a small grip, but we can still have a great race. We'll see how this pans out in a few moments' time. Frantic once again finding himself in the top 3, just this time instead of Heischler in the top 3 also. It's Nifojan who races today and looking to try and extend their championship lead and maybe secure this summer season title if they can. 2 more races to go after this one, so a good point scoring position over their rival in the championship. Zingy, their teammate as well, would possibly seal it for the complete title right there, possibly today. It would still be mathematically possible for Zingy to get the job done and make a comeback, but it would be very difficult for a comeback to actually occur. Now, Frantic sits behind and they've got nothing to lose. It's going to be a medium tyre for everyone. There's going to be no strategy. It's all guns blazing towards the end, and that is a big mistake right there from the Scotsman, who goes off at turn 4. Has a bit of a flash as they try and save a bit of battery, interestingly. But yeah, that was an interesting situation right there from Zingy. ERS looking pretty low right now on Nifo, just trying to make sure that they get that DRS on Zingy, and then they can start relaxing. And at the moment, Zingy's just trying to push to open up the field as much as they can. That will help their teammate, of course. Everyone's spreading out a little bit. There's the biggest gap between JJ and Igor. Igor's holding on to Frantic nicely at the moment. Pursoon is just waiting behind. DRS will kick in, and it's going to be even harder for anybody to overtake right now. Nifo will be the first one to get that dose. Are they going to make that overtake here on the Scotsman, or are they just going to hold back for now? I think they're just holding back, actually. They'll just let that one go. Frantic has a quick look to the inside, but other than that, no one is making an overtake. JJ, I think, got DRS. He just about did enough, but they are going to be struggling if they can't catch up a little bit more time by the end of this lap, though. We'll see. Top 3. Loving the pace at the moment, but Eagle's making that a 4. In the sprint race yesterday, we saw a top 5, top 6 battle, I think, at the start, and then it slowly fizzled away until we ended up with that top 3 battle. Right now, we've got that top 4 as JJ unfortunately breaks the DRS. So that is the first one. We were looking at the top 7 battle out of 7 cars. All stays as it is. A big moment right there for Nifo on the exit curb. They keep it nice and cautious though, and they are good to go through the final corners. We watch the drivers start lap 4 out of 12, and will we get an overtake from anyone again? I'm going to ask that question, but no one will make that pass. And we've still got a long way to go. We will see Pursoon go to the inside line of JJ, who wants to have a look. On the exit, it's going to be very, very tight. JJ has the advantage. Heisler will not be able to make a move on Pursoon in the meantime, so they will just have to sit behind the Brit, and they're now 2 seconds behind the rest of the pack, not able to do that. That's Igor making a big mistake, and unfortunately down to P7 immediately. They might be able to hold on to the back of the pack right now, but they are going to have some pretty hot tyres if they've had a bit of a spin. That would have been on the, well, kind of exit of turn 2, and they would have just kind of lost the car and travelled through turn 3, I assume. So under traction through turn 2, they must have lost the car. Unless I completely missed it, then yeah, that is such a shame right there for the Ferrari to go out, and that is now 2 trains of 3 we can see on our screen right now, and then we've got a train of its own as well. With 1 car in it, which is Igor at the back at the moment. But they can get some good laps in, ready for the main race. There's a second opportunity with qualifying as well to help with that. Zingy having a bit of a moment on the rear right there, and Nifo's looking very, very strong at this stage of the Grand Prix. So controlling themselves quite nicely. Will we see any movement further behind the grid? That is Heisler making a move on Pursoon, and now he's able to launch an attack on JJ. JJ's trying to go full aggression, but just had to leave the space on the exit, and Heisler makes the move work. There was a bit of a wheel tap, and JJ's going to try and shove it down the inside once again, but Heisler's the inside line, and they'll have the advantage. Unless he uses all of his battery, JJ won't be able to get back through on the McLaren, so that'll be the job done. I say that, they go off the circuit, they've got to be careful they don't get any trap limits, otherwise it could be all over later on in this race. It is only a short one, but yesterday we saw on lap 9 time penalties come in like there's no tomorrow, and we're going to be looking for lap 9 to the same, not only for this sprint race but also for the main race. We didn't see time penalties coming for the main race until a little bit later on. Everybody had a different mindset, but it's still something to look out for, of course. As these guys are all in their trains at the moment, as I said, 2 trains of 3. Igor just not able to gain. The DRS doesn't help, of course. In the corners, they should have a bit of an advantage, but it is really difficult to compete with. Now, Nifo's forced to go for an overtake here on Zingy, as Frantic wants to also have a go, so they're going to try and make the move on Zingy's stick. Will it work? Zingy's going to try and hold it around the outside. They're going to get slipstream from their teammate, but no DRS. Frantic has the DRS. It's still going to be a fight into turn 4 as they go side by side. The inside line to the Alpine driver through turn 3. It's super, super close. Up the hill they now go, and I think it's going to be Zingy. He's ahead. Frantic lets that one happen, and that was just about held on from the Racing Bulls team. That was Nifo being forced to make that move, of course, because Frantic wanted to push. So that meant that Zingy was basically under threat, and he's just done enough to hold on. Very good effort from Frantic there, but all that battery now is all a little bit downhill at the moment. And your new race leader, Nifojan, taking that pole position, returns back to the top point since turn 4, as they do go off circuit slightly, but since turn 4 on the first lap. Unless they overtook Zingy in the meantime, I'm not quite sure, but I believe This is the first time we see them lead since turn 4. Now they will once again get to the first corner, but Zingy won't be going for that re-overtaking maneuver. They will sit there, and that's how it's going to go. That is a side-by-side moment here with Pursoon and JJ, who tried to make it side-by-side in the final corner of the racetrack, and they do switch up in the end. Pursoon not very happy with the situation right there. I think JJ must have slowed down to let that one go, but now they both have lost Heisler by quite a big margin. 3.5 seconds they have to the McLaren driver, and that will be an almost impossible gap to try and catch back up. And P5 not going to be what Pursoon wants, but it might be what they get right here. Frantic just slowly recouping this energy as these three are all in their train, although a bit loosey-goosey on the rear end. It seemed through the corners. These tyres do start to drop off at lap 7, so a sprint race is definitely going to show that happen for sure as you try and go to the end. That's JJ and Pursoon switching positions once again, as it's an interesting place for an overtake to be made. So I think Pursoon must have just made a bit of a mistake right there, but we're going to go back to, sorry for the square chair squeak, we're going to go back to the top 2 and see if there's going to be any switching up. I don't think there would be, although Zingy is using energy to make sure that Frantic doesn't get any ideas, and they will just take that as it is. That's going to be Pursoon into the pit lane, which is a shame for their race. Now, Nifo continues to lead. Zingy's not really worrying about it too much. He just allows Nifo to do their thing. Nifo saving on the energy as they're trying to make sure that they keep this pace up as best as they can. And they do so, but Frantic is definitely putting that pressure on regardless, and it's not going to be easy for these guys. They want to try and have their own battle, but if you've got a car from a different constructor, although Frantic is a reserve driver, you don't want those points to go anywhere else other than your teammate if it has to go to someone else other than you. So that is something that will be definitely in the back of their minds, and they aren't going to be as relaxed as they would have been in, for example, Canada, when they were kind of racing together on their own. And many other times this summer season, they've done a very good job as a duo. They know each other very well, racing so many seasons together. Frantic is right behind and might be looking to go for an attack. As you see Zingy go for the move, they are going to look to the inside, but they back off immediately. I'm really surprised at that. They had so much overspeed, I would have expected them to go for that move. They then use the ERS on the Mini straight after the first corner, but proceeds to not be able to make an overtake without that momentum. Nifo was holding on despite not having the DRS, just using some battery right there to keep the power up. Lap 9 out of 12, and that was an opportunity right there from Frantic gone immediately. Not ideal situation right there, but it's how the battery's used. Does Frantic need a little bit more aggression to be able to make this move? I would say so. If you've got two teammates ahead of you who are going to be communicating and working together, you have to go a little bit harder or go home. And right now, he's sitting in that P3 spot where he has been the entire race. Almost looked at making it a P2. Maybe had a quick moment of a couple seconds in that P2 spot as they edged ahead of Zingy earlier on in their battles, but now they've got another opportunity, but a little bit aggressive on the throttle will unfortunately lose them out, and they're just going to have to sit behind. Nifo's not going to be making that overtake, so Frantic's going to be very lucky because these two will just be bunching up and waiting for the final few laps to then explode. Whether they explode on one another or not, didn't mean to make that sound weird, but we won't know if Zingy or Nifo decide to hold it as they are right now or change up. And actually, that's a big mistake right there, and it could be that Zingy decides to dart. I don't think he would. Seeing this season go through, you know, why would they change their strategy and not help each other until the final stages of the race and then fight? But yeah, that was a big mistake that didn't need to happen right there. But in the fairness, Frantic is making the same mistakes and more often, so Nifo's got a bit of an advantage in that regard and they don't have to worry too much. But Zingy definitely, if they want to try and win that Grand Prix or win this sprint race, then they're going to have to push a little bit harder. At this stage it won't be enough. Even though DRS will be available to Nifo, Zingy would have the pace advantage considering the situation right now. Maybe Nifo has to try and go for a surprise attack on Zingy, but if they don't tell Zingy that they're going for the overtake and then suddenly go for it, then their teammate status could change a little bit. They're using the energy to defend from the car behind, who is looking pretty hungry right now, but not able to make an overtake because once again these guys do work together nicely and just push on the ERS together so they don't slow each other down. Now, Frantic almost had a look to the inside line, but they didn't quite do it. They backed off at the last possible moment right there and didn't send it to the inside. If JJ has damage, doesn't look like they do. They've just gone for a fresh set of soft tyres. I don't think they realise that you don't get a fastest lap point, but anyway, they get the practice in, I guess. Zingy leads the way and Nifo sits in P2. And we are on the penultimate lap. We'll get one more lap of DRS when we come around the next few corners. That is a big snap of oversteer right there from Nifo, who pushes to the absolute limit. Got to be very careful. They've got to make sure that they don't do that too much. Otherwise it could be all over. Zingy leads the way and they've got a 6/10 advantage to their teammate. Are they going to use this energy on the straight to try and hold on? It would be silly not to. Nifo, I don't think they're going to be able to compete even with the DRS and the ERS to themselves. They will have to sit behind and it's going to be single file for the Racing Bull team. On the exit of the first corner, it stays as it is. There's one more bit of DRS to help Nifo out, but he will not be close enough. And this is going to be how it's going to look like for the rest of the race. We're going to have a quick look at the cars behind just to double check in the situation. We've got JJ who's pushing to overtake right here on Igor. Igor realised that JJ's going for a fastest lap, so doesn't get in their way and lets it happen. They've got a time penalty as well, so doesn't really make much sense to fight that. We go with the top three, though, who continue on the final lap of the sprint race. And Zingy, all he needs to do is keep it clean. Nifo's keeping it clean behind him. Heischler in the distance gets a time penalty. Unfortunately, going to try and hope for a bit of a better main race if they can do. Now, Nifo isn't going to get another opportunity to send it to the inside. They had a look, but now it's just going to be bringing it home. They've got one more corner to go right now. And Zingy won yesterday for the sprint, and he's going to win today and close down the championship to Nifo Jan with that as well. Brilliant stuff. A 1-2 for Racing Bulls. Frantic takes a very solid P3 in the end. Heischler will take an uncontested P4, and then we're going to get JJ, who attempts that fastest lap, with Igor further behind as well, having whatever issues they were having. But they get a second opportunity again, as I will say. Now, JJ will be looking to push for that lap just out of pride, but there won't be a point for that. That is Zingy taking another win, and it helps Racing Bulls extend to a maximum right now. They score maximum points as a team, and it will help Zingy close in to his rival and teammate in the championship to maybe try and look at a double for the summer season. Will they be able to get there, though? I'm not entirely sure. And if they does have an advantage right now, that point situation is only 1 point difference, so they close up by 1 point right there. Zingy takes the win, and then we got Nifo P2, Frantic, Heischler, JJ, Igor, then Pursuin, DNF, and we go through the race director just in case, and then we will go to the pit stops. We'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit, and the main race qualifying as well. We'll see you in a bit.